Good morning. Another DeVeaux Speaks, June 16th, I guess, 2019. Been messing up years a lot lately. But happy Father's Day. So I'm excited. I'm up early over here in the McDonald's parking lot, ready to pick up some breakfast for my mom and daughter, and to bring in Father's Day together. And wouldn't be a DeVeaux Speaks unless we had a discussion about something worthwhile, something to bring up different points of view. And so over the years, when students say Happy Father's Day that Friday, there's always a student or two or three or four who would like to comment that their mother is their father and that they're saying Happy Father's Day to their mother. I'm kind of cautious about even giving feedback then, but I tell them, hit me back when you graduate high school. Let's have a discussion about that. And sometimes children, that's how they wrap their mind around things. But I'm also aware that sometimes women are building that into their children. How do you know? When kids tell me like, "Oh yeah, my mother, she had to take a cab to the hospital to give birth to me, and so my dad was around. She's my father." See, there's no way you grow up knowing that unless your mother tells you that story, or someone tells that story who she told. So when the kids tell me stuff like, "Yeah, my mother changed my diapers by myself," you didn't remember that. So that means there's a woman telling somebody that I am your mother and your father. Let me explain something real quick. You got to be very, very careful when you're talking to children. I've learned this over the years. 26 years in education, since 1993. And did mentorships and camps before that. There's an ideal and there's reality. And when you're dealing with children, I found in my experience, it's best to work towards the ideal. Sometimes the reality is not so great for kids. And if you just stick them in their reality, they'll stay there. So you got to always see the ideal. You got to see the future. I don't take a kid who's failed the past 3 math tests and say, "Look, you're a failure. Hey, that's real. You failed these tests. Look at this score. 45, 55, 50. You've definitely failed. I'm just keeping it real. You could do better, but I want to be real with you. You're failing." That's not what I do. You may say, "Well, you're being honest." Yeah, but that's not most helpful for the child. I always tell the child, "Hey, your past doesn't dictate your future. Whatever you did on the past test, you can get an A tomorrow, right? You're a 90 student. You've been going through some stuff. You had a hard time, but you really haven't been studying as much as you should. Come see me lunchtime. We're going to work this out, and you're going to have a 90 on the next test." I always talk about the ideal. I'm talking about the future. That's going to help that child get stronger. When it comes to fatherhood, I know especially in the black community and other communities, it could be a challenging topic to discuss. But I really want sisters. So this part is for you women. I need you to let men have this day. In the past on social media, I hear a whole lot of women, single mothers, I'm saying Happy Father's Day to myself. Or people say Happy Father's Day to my mother. Look, you're a dynamic mother. You may be pulling double duty. You may be mother 3000. Right? But you're not a father. And it's important that you understand you're not a father, because if you tell your son you're a father, he's not going to ever be you. Your son is not you. You're not going to be an example for him. You could be an example what type of human being and some values and character, but you're not a father. And it's best that you just be honest and real with them with that. Let men have their day. We have enough struggles with fatherhood. It's not easy in this country. I know it seems easy because we don't have that physical thing. The woman carries the child, the woman nurses the child, right? And often, even though there's many single dads doing their thing, the image that we see mostly when it's single parenthood is the mother raising the child. And we can take that all the way back to slavery, right? Where they just treated black people and slaves like we were some cattle or horses and studded out. The big black man taken from plantation to plantation, impregnate all the women there so we can have a stronger stock of slaves coming up for the next generation. And that messed with us. Don't forget, they try to compare slavery to other things like, oh, this Holocaust or whatever. These other things were 10, 12 years. Slavery in this country, you're talking 300 plus years. You're talking generation after generation, 10, 11, 12 generations of people being enslaved. That messes with your mind and your ideals. And the guy who gets to go have sex with a bunch of women, he's the star of the plantation. You get to travel with master. You got to have sex with all the women. You get a little pat on the back, maybe some extra food, keep you strong. Right, because they thought you was a horse. You was the stud. And we still got brothers walking around communities thinking that they the stud and that they big. So even though fatherhood, it may seem easy, being a man, being a real father, sacrificing for your family, for your children, that's not easy. That's not the way we're taught. That's not the way the system is set up for us. Y'all remember the old movie Claudine, right? Hide the man in the closet. The government's coming. You're not going to get any government assistance or help if there's a man around, because they're not interested in building a strong family. They're interested in taking the family apart. It's easier to control. Hey, it sounds good. And I know you mothers, you're doing some wonderful jobs out there. But when I drive through different communities, I teach in the Bronx, it's evident what happens with a lack of men around, when there's a lack of fathers, when there's lack of daddies. These boys stand around with their underwear out, the belt hang around their thighs, want to rob the Uber drivers or the delivery guy. Like, that would not happen as much if there was some loving, active, conscious fathers in the community. So women, you gotta let fathers have this day. Fathers need time to talk to each other, build with each other, encourage each other, bond with each other. We need this time. And it's not the time for single women to say, well, oh, I'm a father too, I'm doing mother and father. You're not. You're dealing with a tough situation, and I respect and appreciate that. But the ideal is not to have a bunch of single mothers generation after generation. That's not what's best for our community. So if you say, well, what do you want to say to your child? Depending on the age, sometimes you just got to tell your child the truth. Daddy's not around, or wherever I don't need him, or wherever he is, or whatever the situation, just be like, look, I'm your mother, I'm holding it down, I'm doing the best I can, but look, to become a man, I need you to start paying attention to Pastor so-and-so, or Coach so-and-so, or your godfather so-and-so, or Uncle so-and-so. I need you to spend time with them so you can see what it is to be a man and to be a responsible man, because I need you to be a strong, responsible man and to be a father to your children. Don't tell him you're the father, because he can't grow up to be you. So you're screwing him up. All you're doing is, if you're the mother and the father, when he starts having kids, you done told him for 15, 20 years the woman is the mother and the father, and so there's no place for him but to make the babies. That's not what you want for your child. Tell your child the ideal. Don't just ground him in with the real, what you're going through day to day. Yeah, he needs to know that reality too. But let him know what you need him to be, what type of man you want him to be, what type of father he's going to be. Not like maybe the past father, but a better version. All right, so that's my wish for this Father's Day. So hey, fathers, enjoy the day. Women, please let the men have this day. All right, my daughter, they made Mother's Day cards in school. They didn't even make Father's Day cards in school. That's the craziness. The discussion on educational blogs is like, well, let's not do anything for Father's Day because there's so many kids without fathers. We don't want their feelings hurt. Like, that's the craziness of where we are. We got to do better. Let's shoot for the ideal, and let's build that into our children. Happy Father's Day. This is another DeVeaux Speaks.